The hallway was dark, too dark. Only the faint hum of the overhead light flickered, casting jagged shadows across the cracked walls. A single heartbeat seemed louder than the distant thunder outside. He could hear them footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming closer. He pressed himself against the cold brick, every muscle tight, every breath shallow. One wrong move, and it would all be over. Not just his safety, his pride, his dignity, everything he had fought for would vanish in an instant. They wanted him to speak, to beg, to justify. But he had promised himself he wouldn't. Not a word, not a whisper. Silence could be louder than any scream. The footsteps stopped. A shadow fell across the doorway. His pulse spiked. Eyes darted for an escape, but there was none. The figure waited, patient, smirking, a predator savoring the fear it couldn't see, but could feel. Every second stretched into eternity. The air was electric. His hands trembled, but his jaw stayed set, unyielding. How do you earn respect when the entire world wants to break you, and you can't say a single word? This all started on a quiet Tuesday morning in the small town of Ashford. The streets were lined with maple trees, their leaves just beginning to turn amber and gold. Birds chirped lazily, and the scent of fresh bread drifted from the corner bakery. Life moved slowly here, predictably, comfortably. Ethan Miller, mid-30s, had his routine down to the minute. He brewed his coffee at exactly 7:03 a.m., skimmed the newspaper, and watched the sun spill across his tidy apartment. His neighbors knew him as quiet, polite, reliable a man who never raised his voice and rarely caused a stir. People respected him, though not in the flashy way you'd see in movies or on TV. His respect was earned quietly, day by day. His assistant, Clara, was already in the office when he arrived. She was sharp, observant, the kind of person who noticed small changes in people before they noticed themselves. "Morning, Ethan," she said, her tone casual but warm. "You left your umbrella at the cafe yesterday." "Thanks," he replied, his voice calm, matter-of-fact. He was the kind of man who solved problems with precision, not drama. Life wasn't thrilling, but it had rhythm. Evenings were spent reading or jogging along the riverside, weekends visiting the local market or helping at the community center. Ethan had learned early that you didn't need words to influence people. You just needed action, consistency, and integrity. But sometimes, beneath the calm surface, you could feel a current of unease. The way people glanced at him on the street, not with malice, but with subtle suspicion. How his coworker Martin always lingered too long near his desk, watching him type, jotting notes in a small black notebook. Ethan brushed it off. He had learned to trust his instincts, but never let paranoia control him. Still, a tiny knot of worry had begun to form small, almost imperceptible. A sense that someone, somewhere, was testing him, measuring him, waiting for the perfect moment to push. And then there were the letters. Unmarked envelopes left in his mailbox, the words typed neatly on a page. "We are watching. We know. Nothing more." No signature. Just ink on paper and a chill that lingered longer than it should. He didn't tell anyone. Not Clara, not his parents. He had learned early on that fear spread faster than truth, and silence, oddly enough, often commanded more respect than explanation. For now, everything seemed normal. Coffee was still hot, and maple leaves still fluttered in the morning breeze, and Clara's laugh echoed lightly across the office. Yet Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to shift, something that would test him in ways he had never imagined, and he would have to face it alone. Ethan's routine began to fracture the following week. The first incident was a misplaced file on his desk. At first, he thought he'd misfiled it himself, but then the same thing happened again, twice in a day. Each time, the documents reappeared slightly askew, as if someone was sending a message without words. Then came the calls. No voice on the other end, just the hum of silence. Sometimes faint breathing, sometimes nothing at all. The lines always went dead before he could respond. Clara noticed him flinch at his phone, but Ethan offered nothing. He didn't explain. Words weren't necessary. At work, subtle acts of aggression began to surface. Martin, his coworker, started monopolizing meetings, speaking over him, questioning every decision. Colleagues glanced at Ethan for cues, but he remained composed, answering calmly, never raising his voice. Still, the tension in the room was palpable. Each nod, each pause, each whisper felt like an arrow aimed directly at him. Ethan began noticing more signs outside the office. A car parked across the street for hours. A shadow lingering near the market. Faces in the cafe, too deliberate in their glance, as if measuring his every movement. Every evening, as he jogged along the river, he sensed someone just behind him. And yet, when he looked back, the streets were empty. The letters intensified. New messages arrived almost daily, typed in the same precise font. "We are closer than you think." No demands, no instructions. Just observation. The words were enough to unsettle anyone, but Ethan's composure never cracked. Instead, he analyzed them, cataloged them, and prepared, silently, for what might come. One night, he returned home to find his apartment door slightly ajar. The lock hadn't been forced. Nothing was stolen. Everything seemed normal, yet the air felt heavier, more oppressive. On his kitchen counter lay another envelope. "Silence can be your strength. Don't waste it." Ethan realized that whoever was behind this wasn't random. They were meticulous, patient, and testing him, probing for weakness. The thought should have terrified him. It didn't, not outwardly. He refused to give them the satisfaction of fear. He refused to let words betray his mind or reveal his strategy. The strain, however, began to show elsewhere. Clara noticed the sleepless nights, the subtle flinch at phone calls, the way he scanned every corner of the office as though invisible eyes were upon him. "Ethan, you don't have to face this alone," she said one afternoon, leaning against his doorway. He shook his head, silent but firm. Words were unnecessary. Clara understood the message. Sometimes power was quiet. Sometimes control was in restraint. Then came the escalation. Files vanished entirely. Important meetings were sabotaged with misinformation. Social media posts appeared in his name, spreading rumors that painted him as reckless, untrustworthy, even dangerous. Colleagues avoided him. Friends called less often. Isolation crept in, silent and insidious. One night, he returned to find his apartment ransacked. Drawers pulled out, cabinets emptied, papers scattered across the floor. Yet, in the center of the chaos, another envelope sat neatly atop the fridge. "Respect is earned in silence, Ethan. Keep your promise." Every instinct screamed at him to fight, to shout, to explain. But he stayed silent, always silent. Every reaction was measured, every step calculated, every word withheld. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about proving something. Not to his tormentor, but to himself. That respect, true respect, didn't need noise. It didn't need explanations. It didn't need pleading. It was earned through composure, through courage under pressure, and through the quiet refusal to bend, no matter how crushing the weight became. And then the breaking point came. A meeting he had prepared meticulously was ambushed. His research, his proposals, all dismissed publicly. Martin, smug and confident, smirked at him across the table. Laughter echoed in the conference room. A whispered conversation between colleagues made it clear. They expected him to crack, to argue, to defend himself. Ethan didn't. He merely stood, silent, his gaze steady, his hands relaxed at his sides. The room went quiet. Confused eyes darted from him to Martin, searching for the reaction they expected but would never get. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, the tension was almost unbearable. And in that silence, in that refusal to speak, a quiet power began to shift, a dangerous, irresistible momentum that would soon demand its reckoning. The storm slammed against the windows as Ethan stepped into the office that evening. The room was empty, eerily silent. Papers rustled in the wind from the open door to the balcony. And then he saw them. Martin, Clara, and the others he thought were allies. "You should have spoken," Martin sneered, voice sharp, cruel. "Defend yourself. Say something. Anything." Ethan didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't breathe more than necessary. Silence. Absolute, unbroken silence. Martin's smirk faltered. Confusion flickered in his eyes. The colleagues shifted, uncertain. Something wasn't going as planned. "Look at you," Martin hissed, stepping closer. "Everyone's watching. Are you afraid?" Ethan's eyes met his. Calm, steady, unshakable. And then he acted. Not with words, not with anger, but with precision. He lifted a folder from the table, the very documents that had been tampered with, the emails Martin had falsified, the evidence of every attempt to undermine him. One by one, he placed them in the center of the room, each page exposing the lies, the sabotage, the betrayals. Gasps filled the room. Clara's eyes widened. Martin's jaw tightened. The power shifted, undeniable, unstoppable. "You wanted me to react," Ethan said finally, voice low, controlled. "You wanted noise. You wanted chaos. You wanted me to break." He let the silence settle, heavy, suffocating. "I didn't speak," he continued, calm as a storm, "because respect isn't taken with words. It's earned with action." Martin froze. The room went dead quiet. Every whisper, every glance, every hidden plan laid bare. And in that moment, everyone understood. The quietest man in the room had become the most powerful, because silence, controlled and purposeful, had spoken louder than any scream. The office was silent for a long moment after Ethan placed the last document on the table. Martin's face was pale. His smugness evaporated into something raw shock, fear, and a hint of desperation. Colleagues hovered near the doorway, whispering to each other, their earlier doubt and mockery replaced by stunned recognition. Ethan didn't move. He didn't need to. The weight of truth filled the room like a physical presence. Martin had plotted meticulously, manipulated records, spread rumors, and assumed he could control the narrative with words, lies, and intimidation. But he had underestimated the power of composure, the authority of someone who refused to speak until action demanded attention. Clara stepped forward, her expression a mixture of awe and relief. "Ethan, you handled it perfectly," she said softly. The storm slammed against the windows as Ethan stepped into the office that evening. The room was empty, eerily silent. Papers rustled in the wind from the open door to the balcony. And then he saw them. Martin, Clara, and the others he thought were allies. "You should have spoken," Martin sneered, voice sharp, cruel. "Defend yourself. Say something. Anything." Ethan didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't breathe more than necessary. Silence. Absolute, unbroken silence. Martin's smirk faltered. Confusion flickered in his eyes. The colleagues shifted, uncertain. Something wasn't going as planned. "Look at you," Martin hissed, stepping closer. "Everyone's watching. Are you afraid?" Ethan's eyes met his. Calm, steady, unshakable. And then he acted. Not with words, not with anger, but with precision. He lifted a folder from the table, the very documents that had been tampered with, the emails Martin had falsified, the evidence of every attempt to undermine him. One by one, he placed them in the center of the room, each page exposing the lies, the sabotage, the betrayals. Gasps filled the room. Clara's eyes widened. Martin's jaw tightened. The power shifted, undeniable, unstoppable. "You wanted me to react," Ethan said finally, voice low, controlled. "You wanted noise. You wanted chaos. You wanted me to break." He let the silence settle, heavy, suffocating. "I didn't speak," he continued, calm as a storm, "because respect isn't taken with words. It's earned with action." Martin froze. The room went dead quiet. Every whisper, every glance, every hidden plan laid bare. And in that moment, everyone understood. The quietest man in the room had become the most powerful, because silence, controlled and purposeful, had spoken louder than any scream. The office was silent for a long moment after Ethan placed the last document on the table. Martin's face was pale. His smugness evaporated into something raw shock, fear, and a hint of desperation. Colleagues hovered near the doorway, whispering to each other, their earlier doubt and mockery replaced by stunned recognition. Ethan didn't move. He didn't need to. The weight of truth filled the room like a physical presence. Martin had plotted meticulously, manipulated records, spread rumors, and assumed he could control the narrative with words, lies, and intimidation. But he had underestimated the power of composure, the authority of someone who refused to speak until action demanded attention. Clara stepped forward, her expression a mixture of awe and relief. "Ethan, you handled it perfectly," she said softly.